You talk in the results about changes in the test and measurement and telecoms industries, and that these are impacting results at the moment. Can you explain what these changes are and how Spirent is positioning itself to benefit from these changes, and at what stage in the process you think that you're going to see benefits coming through for Spirent?
So the big theme, which has continued throughout the last decade, is that the world is consuming more and more data connectivity by downloading higher bandwidth usage of data. So video downloads are now commonplace, video conferencing over mobile networks. And now you've seen at the Mobile World Congress, everything is about virtual reality, augmented reality, connected vehicles and smart cities. So all of that requires us to innovate really quickly and efficiently to deliver more bandwidth. Otherwise, the entire planet would become one big data center. Spirent's well positioned in that our roots are in Ethernet testing, which is the basic building block for data communications. We have a wide range of other capabilities which enable us to test and assure the build out of wireless infrastructure to support the high-speed wireless connections. So think of LTE Advanced, 5G connectivity, and all of this is also playing into the move from building out physical elements in the network to virtualization of data management. So we're investing in those areas. We've made some strident moves forward, launched a lot of new products, and we've got very close customer engagement on these technology innovations.
There's been a general move within the technology industry away from hardware towards software. To what extent has this been seen at Spirent, and how do you expect the mix to change over the next coming years between hardware, software, and potentially even services?
Yes, so the major carriers are driving very strongly now towards the virtualization of their networks. You saw it with the social media companies, the build out of companies offering web services where they've been looking to manage software-defined networking within their data centers. Now the carriers want to implement network functions virtualization. What that means is that they then deploy lower cost commodity type of equipment in the network, in the physical network, and manage all of the data traffic and network flows through software. That is both a threat and an opportunity for a company like Spirent. We get a lot of our revenue from testing the hardware elements in the network, modeling the configuration of the deployment of those elements within the network. And in fact, the physical world doesn't go away, but the emphasis of where the value lies changes. We are working very closely with the leading service providers who are thinking about how to deploy virtualization across their networks. And that requires a whole series of new test methodologies, ways to assure connectivity, ways to assure that when you're turning up the new services that they are offering the service levels that you've agreed with your major customers to provide. And also, is the ordinary subscriber to your wireless network or connectivity getting the service level that they expect to get for their monthly subscriptions? So we're developing the new test methodologies. We have converted all of our physical test machines into virtual machines, and now we are building up a suite of testing as a service, deploying test in software mode that can now be sold to everybody in the industry by way of a different model. So now we have software subscription, annual licensing, and the scale of deployment of virtual test systems is phenomenal compared to the physical world. So we would sell hundreds of test ports to a physical device test developer in an equipment manufacturer or a service provider. Now we're selling tens of thousands of virtual test ports.
Your customer list includes Apple, Samsung, AT&T, Verizon, Cisco, and Juniper. Can you tell us more about how you work with these companies and how you help them to deliver the best products and services for their customers? And perhaps even a little bit about the nature of your relationships and the depth of these relationships.
So we've always had a broad customer base. We support everybody in the industry globally. So somebody buys something from Spirent, whether they're a service provider, equipment manufacturer, or device manufacturer. There are certain thought leaders in the industry who are pushing forward. So we work very closely with them on what they're looking for to assure their networks or to assure then the functionality of the next device that they are bringing out. The way that we work is when people are looking to turn those technologies into real products, real services. So it's before anybody goes into manufacturing, but we're beyond the initial conceptual, really pushing the boundaries on the technology. So it's when things become real, but it's pre-deployment. So that's where we come in when, if you like, the rubber hits the road and people are trying to make things happen in the real world. We're in the fortunate position of being on the standard setting bodies, closely involved with the technologists both in academia but also in the major developers and service providers. And as I say, we work with them globally. So that enables us to be very close to anticipating what's required in the next 2 to 3 years. So investments we have been making over the last couple of years and currently will really be for deployments in 2017, 2018, 2019.
As a CEO, you've taken the step of increasing spend on product and market development. Can you give us a bit of background to why this decision was taken a few years back and how the strategy is developing?
Yeah, so what we saw, I think 2 or 3 years ago, was that we hit peak revenues. We were enjoying the benefits of the growth in Ethernet technologies. We were riding on the back of the smartphone market boom. Things were looking very good, but we hadn't been investing in some of the newer technologies. We hadn't been investing in really driving virtualization. We hadn't put in additional investment to take our security testing to another level. So when I took over as CEO in the middle of 2013, I had to do 2 things. One, arrest the fall in activity levels, so stop the revenue stream declining. Ensure that we had good connection with our customers so that we were in their thought processes about being the experts to supply test methodologies to them and giving them the service level and support so that they would always think of, if I've got a test requirement, a measurement requirement, an insurance requirement, I'll call Spirent first. Having done that and re-energized what we were doing on our technology developments, we put ourselves back into a leadership position in Ethernet testing, and we were able to then transfer our technologies from the physical device testing into virtual, so that we could then start to offer testing as a service, a different model to sell people test capability so that can be much more scalable, because with the development of more and more scale, you can't do all of that in the physical world. And we were also able to then invest in new technology areas such as data analytics, to add a lot more value to the results of test and to diagnose and predict failures in live network. So we now have just released a predictive analytics system that can see 80% of network failures before the traditional alarm systems find them, for example. And we're now also in the position where we are able to follow the move from laboratory testing into live network testing. And this is important for the build out of high-speed data connectivity in the wireless world. So as you move to LTE Advanced and 5G wireless, both the scale of data being transferred is going up exponentially, but also the number of sessions and number of mobile sessions are increasing dramatically. So we're able to model that in the lab, but now we can take that into the live network. So you can do pre-deployment testing for turn-up and also leave it there to do diagnostic testing to ensure your service levels are up to scratch. And on the security side, we're taking our high-end expertise that we've been selling to firewall developers, repackaging that so that can be run by network users to do advanced threat detection, test the robustness of their networks against security attacks.